All right. Thank you so much for joining us today for an exciting session as a part of our Winter Career Quest series. My name is Hong Nguyen, and I'm part of the Careers and Professional Development team here at WGU. And I'm very excited to introduce today's presenter. We're thrilled to welcome Nathanael Young, a senior recruiter at Leidos QTC Health and a proud WGU alum. Nathaniel's not just an expert in talent acquisition field, but also a remarkable community leader. With over 23,000 followers on LinkedIn, he's become a trusted voice in the TA space, sharing his expertise, passion, and insight into empowering others on navigating and thriving in their career journey. Today, Nathaniel will be sharing his insights on how to optimize your LinkedIn. So, with that, Nathaniel, I'm very excited to pass things over to you.
Thank you, Hong, and it's such a pleasure to be here. As your introduction said, I'm a senior HR recruiter for Leidos QTC Health Services and a recent graduate of uh, Western Governors University. I graduated with my master's in human resource management this last September. I'm proud to say that I became the first in my family to have a graduate degree. Um, my experience was so positive here that when Huang reached out to me, I thought I hit the lottery because I get to combine my passion with LinkedIn and teaching with the school that has had such a positive impact on my life. I'm a huge advocate for the school and their approach to education, especially for accessibility and affordability. That I was able to earn my master's in 11 months with two kids under three and while working a full-time job. My wife is actually here. Her name's Kendall Young, and she's actually attending here as well to complete her bachelor's. So you could say that in this house we're a parliament, which is a group of owls. So today we'll be covering optimizing LinkedIn. This overview will just cover a quick, just go over what the slides will be covering. So who is Leidos QTC Health Services? I just want to talk about a little bit about our brand and who we are as an organization. My own personal LinkedIn journey, key features of LinkedIn, optimizing your presence, how to utilize analytics to gauge success, best practices that I've discovered, and then common pitfalls and mistakes. And then at the end, we'll have that Q&A session. So, Leidos QTC Health Services, we're the nation's largest provider of disability and occupational health service exams. We started in the early 80s and have been really the premier examiner for federal clients throughout the entire United States. Some of our most notable clients would be the FBI, Secret Service, CIA, the VA, and then a few others that we'll cover a little bit later down the road. Basically, we're the one-stop shop for medical, disability, and occupational health services. We've conducted over 12 million physical exams and reports. We do this through having a very robust IT service in department within our organization, and then 90 clinics nationwide with over 1,000 experienced professionals. So as of today, from my last understanding of our HR meeting, we have 4,600 employees, 24,000 medical provider network. Those would be 1099 contractors in 44 countries around the world. Our annual services, we provide over a million exams a year, over 2 million exams a year for over a million examinees. Our largest contract to date is the VA, and then followed up with RHRP. Afterwards, it's the disability and occupational exams I mentioned earlier. I always like to joke, anything with a DO in it, we support. So that would be the DOJ, DOL, um, anything like that, DOT, with, again, notable clients, FBI, CIA, Secret Service, the Railroad Commission, and so forth. IMX is our private subsidiary. They handle non-federal disability exams. And then we have a large number of expertise with telehealth exams, clinical operations, mobile medicine, population medicine, and so forth. We have 5 case management centers, 94 plus practices, 256 per diem clinics, and then over 358 traveling providers. So it's a large, large organization. We started a period of massive growth in 2018 We went from around 750 active employees to now 4,600. And I know through multiple talks and attended multiple town halls with the CEO that we're looking to double in size in the next 3 to 4 years. This is one of our latest innovations. It's a mobile medical clinic. We actually use them to service the Reserve Health Readiness Program, as well as conducting exams for veterans in rural communities that don't necessarily have, or under a 2 hour or over a 2 hour drive from one of our clinics. Their key things is they're ADA compliant. There's an audio booth. They have radiology capabilities on site with lab collection and carbon monoxide monitoring. So these are incredible for what we do with these. This allows us to bridge the gap between veterans that are in rural America and getting them the services that they've earned through their service in the U.S. military. So, what makes us a unique business and why you should join us, right? One, financial stability. Healthcare typically is a recession resilient industry with healthcare IT. So, we have, I want you guys to understand too, like, yes, we're a healthcare organization, but that doesn't mean we don't have jobs in project management, IT, um, HR, multiple corporate functions. And any organization that you look at across the board, they're going to have those functions. So don't limit yourself to just say, oh, even construction, for example, they're going to have IT, they're going to have corporate roles. So look at exploring those. Our primary clientele is the veterans and U.S. law enforcement of the United States. Everything that we do here impacts national security through healthcare, right? Those occupational exams that we do with the pre-employment screenings, the annual physicals, the return to duty physicals, all of that impacts the client's ability to do their job. And then we help people in need. I can honestly say, as a veteran myself, the disability exams have a massive impact on your life and well-being. And so being able to be a part of the organization that is the largest in the industry for those disability exams, I wake up every day excited to go to work. So this is just another cover screen, but it's optimizing LinkedIn. My own LinkedIn journey, it really started April 2022. So in April 2022, my daughter was born. I was still active duty in the Navy as a Navy corpsman. And then I had LinkedIn. So rewind it, I had LinkedIn since 2017. I maybe had 50 followers. I never touched it, never did anything. And then in April 2022, my daughter was born. In May, I finally was like, you know what? I'm gonna get out. In November, I've decided I've signed my papers. That gives me roughly 6 months to get a job. And so I knew that I was going to have much better luck finding a job through LinkedIn than I would through applications. So, what I wanted to do was work on establishing myself. Um, One of the ways that I did that is actually stumbled across a fantastic book at a public library called How to Write a Killer LinkedIn Profile and 18 Mistakes to Avoid. If you get a chance, I absolutely recommend one, connecting with the author on LinkedIn, and two, reading that book. It really provided me with a strong foundational knowledge on LinkedIn to then go from there and build up through experience and my own experimentation on there. After I had a complete profile, I then focused on cultivating a robust network. I like to say a robust network, you have two layers on that network. You have a core network that would be your friends, your family, coworkers, supervisors, and classmates. These are people that you typically have direct contact with either day to day or at least weekly, and people that you know firsthand. Um, After that, I started to build my expanded network, which is focusing in on industry leaders. Myself being a veteran, I really focused on connecting with those veteran advocates, recruiters, and industry peers. I knew that I got around 100 invites or so a week and I was planning to make the most of them. So what I would do is I would actually send personalized invites, and I'm telling you, like it was like 400 every month that I could, to as many of those types of individuals that I could. Did everyone respond? No. And to be honest, I'm still getting responses even 2 years later where people are accepting my connection request. But by the end of the first month, I had grown my network from 50 connections to 500. I lined up 12 job interviews. I landed 8 of them, almost all of them for about $70,000 plus in compensation in various fields from logistics, recruitment, operational management, and just general healthcare. And mind you, at that time, I only had a bachelor's in general management. This network allowed me to pivot into a completely new field where going from direct patient care as a U.S. Navy corpsman to as a healthcare recruiter. And fast forward 2 years now, I've worked for 2 Fortune 500 companies. I have 23,000 connections. And in the last year, I've increased my income by around 23%, thanks to LinkedIn and those connections. Because of my positive experience on the platform, I'm probably one of the biggest advocates you'll ever meet. Anytime I get a chance to link in, to tie in LinkedIn with a recruitment initiative, I'm always there. In fact, the first place that I go to source candidates whenever I'm given a new role is my LinkedIn connections. It's the quickest and most efficient way to source. It's also free, which every organization loves to have. And in fact, it was actually my presence on LinkedIn that Leidos QTC Health Services found me and reached out because they wanted me to become a brand ambassador for them. So that covers a little bit about my LinkedIn journey. I know if I could, I'd stay on this topic forever. Great experience. So key features of LinkedIn, those include networking, job search, content sharing, and professional development. So with networking, right, users can connect with other professionals. You can join industry groups and you can follow companies of interest. On the job search, so LinkedIn is actually a job board. Most people don't realize that if you're not paying for a service, typically that's because you're the product. And that's essentially what LinkedIn does. LinkedIn sells access to users to organizations by posting their job recs. And then by paying premiums, you can upgrade your accounts as a corporate entity to have access to a wider array of job seekers. Content sharing. Users, you can publish articles, you can share updates, you can really create that thought leadership um, by creating content and sharing it with your network, establishing your expertise and insights. And then finally, professional development. You can use the software like LinkedIn Learning to go through a variety of courses. I actually got certified as a professional corporate recruiter for free through LinkedIn Learning. Those key features, those are the ones that we want to focus on today. So how do we optimize your LinkedIn presence, right? It sounds basic, but you'll be surprised just how impactful you can have on your LinkedIn experience by having a completed profile. For example, you are 7 times more likely to be found if you have a profile picture on LinkedIn. You are 12 times more likely to be found on LinkedIn if you include at least 2 past work experiences. A complete LinkedIn profile will get you 21 times more profile views and up to 36 times more messages. And then utilizing hashtags in your post can increase the visibility of that post by 30% and increase your engagement. And then professional engagement. LinkedIn members who share content online receive up to 4 times profile views. So by being active on LinkedIn, that's your first thing. So establishing your foundation is always key. And I like to start from the top and work my way down. So, you know, polish your profile picture. Have a good professional headshot. It doesn't have to be like you have to pay $400 for it. You know, you can stand up with your back against the wall, wear a nice, appropriate, semi-formal business attire, and take a good picture. Have someone take the picture rather than just doing a selfie. Craft a strong descriptive headline. Your headline is your brand. It's your branded message. It's whatever you believe in. You can talk about your attributes. You can talk about, key KPIs that you'd like to showcase to the world, or, hey, this is my marketing statement. Write an engaging summary, right? So everything else can be looked at like almost like a resume. The summary is where you can actually be unique. A summary is where you can create your own little autobiography about yourself. You can provide insights that go far beyond just your experience and what your professional skills are. You can really talk about your motivations and what really drives you to in the profession that you're in. Um, Customizing your LinkedIn URL, that's great for your resume. Shortens it up and it can be something that's more memorable. You want to highlight your skills and endorsements. So they have, I believe it's up to 100 skills that you can have on LinkedIn. So the big thing is fill out the skills, right? I can't tell you how many LinkedIn profiles I come across where there's only, 10, 20 skills on. And you have to understand that when a recruiter is using LinkedIn, we do a lot of keyword searches. And a lot of those are related to the skills that you have on your profile. And so the more keywords that you have on there, the more likely you're going to be presented on a LinkedIn search results. Endorsements is having contacts that have actually worked with you endorse those skills. And then you can request meaningful recommendations. So recommendations, those can almost be like referrals. You can ask like your supervisor, your coworkers, or even clients to leave recommendations saying, hey, this is a positive experience that, for example, Nathaniel brings to the organization, or this is a project I worked with him. And, I highly recommend him to any other future clients. Engage with content regular. One of the biggest faults on LinkedIn that I see a lot of individuals have is there's no activity. Right? You can create a perfect LinkedIn profile, but if you don't engage, you don't necessarily have to create content to be good on LinkedIn. You just need to engage with it. And that's like, comment, and sharing. That's going to build your visibility on the platform. That's going to get it where you're in front of people. And the more visibility you have equals the more greater opportunity you have to find a new job. Join and contribute to groups, right? So I'm a healthcare recruiter, so I'm a part of a lot of groups. I'm part of licensed nurses, RNs, doctors, whatever I can. So joining those professional groups, they're my own little fishing hole to source candidates from. And I love finding candidates in those groups because they're typically screened out by the group admins. So I know that they have the necessary experience and credentials that I'm looking for. Uh, And the other thing is you can become a greater individual, like professional in your profession by joining those groups because you learn so much. When I first became a recruiter, the first couple groups I joined recruiter and sourcer platforms on Facebook so I could learn the lingo. And when I started going to interviews, I didn't seem like a newbie with just who just graduated with a bachelor's degree looking for a job. I had already been able to learn the terminology for that profession. And I knew what, like, for example, like what an ATS is, what is sourcing, all of that, and then learn what key things that they use to learn how to do like a Boolean search. So all of that, it came from joining professional groups. Showcase volunteer experience or projects. When you're doing volunteering, right? Do employers Does it matter that you did a highway cleanup? No. But if you managed the highway cleanup, if you scheduled it, if you coordinated it and, managed the schedules of 20 volunteers, like that's something that you can add in addition to your professional experience on the volunteer side. Like I said, keywords to boost your search visibility. With that, I would Google search engine optimized keywords on LinkedIn for whatever professional field that you're in, and then try to lace your profile with those keywords. That's going to allow you to stand out. And whenever recruiters do those searches, you're going to come up more frequently, and that enhances your ability to gather those opportunities that may not have been visible through you, because just as much as you're looking for an opportunity, there's a recruiter looking to place you in that opportunity and close out that job rec on their list. Activate the open to work feature. Anybody that's been on LinkedIn knows this is a hot topic button issue. Some people are against open to work because you get flooded with MLM offers, you get flooded with a lot of resume and job coaches. But to be honest, some of the nice things about an open work feature is like as a recruiter, if I type in, for example, IT specialist, right, I'm going to get all these people coming up. And if I don't see that you're open to work, then I won't be able to know if I can approach you or not. Some people are very happily employed, and if you approach them, you're wasting an email. Versus if I know that you're open to work, then I can actually message you for free. So if you have your green banner active to everyone, not just to recruiters, individuals can actually message you for free through LinkedIn. If you do open to work just recruiters, the issue is LinkedIn doesn't differentiate between recruiters as far as their profile. It actually differentiates by LinkedIn having a premium account through LinkedIn Recruiter, which most corporations that would cost you about $10,000 a year, and most corporations aren't going to spend that. So it limits you to only the recruiters that have that budget to have LinkedIn Recruiter. Versus if you have the open to work and it's visible to everybody, now anybody that's a recruiter that doesn't have that account can actually message you for free, and it doesn't cost us an email credit. And then finally, just share your expertise, right? Even if you're new to the field, talk about what engages you in that field. Do a thought leadership. Figure out what's trending, what are some current issues, how would you address them, or even talk about your journey. When I first started off in recruitment, I had zero experience, and I was always worried about people calling me out. So in my first year on LinkedIn, I really just published memes and funny things that I thought were relevant to me, that ended up connecting with a lot of individuals. And then slowly, as I've been able to establish that thought leadership, I've been able to build up my presence. And even now, I still get job offers probably every 6 to 7 weeks. Somebody will reach out and say, "Hey, I'd love for you to, run our LinkedIn," or "Hey, I'd love to take you as a recruiter." But to be honest, Leidos QTC Health Services, amazing benefits. I could never leave. But I do get those job offers all the time because I'm on there. I'm active. I engage. I like, comment, share, and I really establish myself as a subject matter expert in there. If you take the time to post about what you're passionate about, because if I remember right, the stat is about 4% of LinkedIn users actually share content on there. And don't just repost, like actually create your own content, you know, facilitate discussions, have polls, be on there. The more active you are on LinkedIn, the more time you invest, the greater reward you'll get out of the LinkedIn platform. Because it really is what you put in is what you're going to get out with each of these individual sections. The reason I didn't want to put a million slides together, and I didn't want to just get boiled down into each subject. But like I said, having a complete profile, having these boxes checked are going to go a long way to actually establishing and growing your LinkedIn presence. So how do we measure success, right? With LinkedIn, you have a feature called the creator mode, and you can actually get access to an analytic dashboard. I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn Creator Mode. It's with it you can focus on content creation, gain insights on what's engaging your audience. Like, is a poll more engaging than say like a meme, or is a meme more engaging than a long heartfelt post? Um, you can not only enhance your content visibility by tweaking your strategies and using these valuable insights to build up your audience engagements, build up your following, help to continuously improve your content strategy, and then build your just overall professional brand on the platform. So there's different metrics that we utilize that I'll go over throughout the next couple of slides. So this is a screenshot of my top performing post. Um, with LinkedIn profile, like I said, you're able to track post performance and levels of engagement they are receiving. So some of my posts are planned out very strategically, content that I've created over like a month prior, and then just scheduled them to post. Other times it's me waking up and just kind of almost complaining. But my top post this year was a complaint post about people that were not audiologists applying for an audiologist role. So like bank managers, fast food members. And I literally just, when I got to work and I looked at it, I was like, oh, I'm so frustrated. I'm just going to post this real quick. I had no idea that it was going to go as viral as it did on the platform. Um, and then another one was, my unpopular professional opinion, stop adding personal information. That was another one that was just kind of off the cuff post that ended up being a top performer. One of the key things that I love to use analytics for is I like to identify key time windows. So does content perform better in the morning and the afternoons? Does 9:30 typically perform better than 7:30 in the morning? Um, what type of contents gather and traction? And where can I see like potential trends approaching? Um, Even though I post a lot of memes on my page, it's my longer worded posts and sharing industry insights that are my best performing. For example, like a meme might get, I don't know, anywhere from 3 to 5,000 impressions, while more of my insightful posts will get anywhere from 50 to, as you can see, 91,000. Just one second. So with that, you want to make sure that you're looking at your post, right? Like actually look at your performance, take a very in-depth look at them and see what's performing. Again, you're looking at what time zones, time blocks work best, what type of content is performing well, and then engagement. Like if you respond to numbers or how many people you're tagging, how many hashtags you're using. LinkedIn changes up their algorithm pretty frequently, so what used to work in the past, 2 months ago might not work today. And so just keeping that your finger on the pulse on the LinkedIn algorithm will help you stay on the top of the performance overall on there. Uh, I saw that comment. I'm going to address that at the end. So I'll definitely talk about a candidate's name and everything. So this is my weekly analytics. This is from January 13 of this year. Um, And so basically, I can take this and look at what my weekly performance is. So right now, I had around, I think this week it's back up to 23,000 post impressions this week. I have 23,000 followers, so I've had some gain there. Profile viewers, and then search appearances. So I look at each one of these analytics and then I gauge my performance off of them. I also tailor my strategy. So post impressions tells me what's going viral, what's kind of a hit or a miss. Follower engagement just tells me what's the organic traffic on my page, not so much who I'm directly outreaching, because that's something that I've already factored in. With this, I really want to focus on how many people are coming to my page and naturally becoming followers. Profile viewers, if you have access to it, it can be an exceptional thing because you can actually see who's looking at your profile. So I've actually found a number of my candidates that, as much as I would love for them to reach out to me, I've actually seen candidates, kind of do the soft check, look at my profile, see what I have to offer. And maybe because they're too shy or they're too new to LinkedIn, they don't reach out. So I've actually caught a number of candidates just by looking at my profile viewers. And if they match a job that I'm recruiting for, I'll actually reach out to them directly. Uh, I also use profile viewers to see about organic traffic as well. And then finally, search appearances. That is your keywords. So you can use search appearances to gauge your keyword in your search engine, what's called SEO on LinkedIn to see what you're coming up as, right? So if I were to go click on search appearances, I could see that a lot of what I'm coming up for is like recruiter, healthcare operational, LVN, and that tells me exactly what keywords. If I wanted to refine it, I would change up the wording to put more like, say, talent acquisition. So I'd come up for more recruiter searches. We'll definitely cover that comment as well. These are my yearly analytics for this year. So over the last year, I've had about 1.6 million impressions on LinkedIn. Um, Now it's not so much about ego, right? Like, yeah, it's cool to say, hey, I got 1.6 million impressions. To me, it's never been about an impression count. It's more about the next number. So the 436,000 members reached, right? Like that is dual-sided. One, it's as a recruiter, that's as many candidates as I can touch. That's as many people like understand the brand that I'm representing. But also, like if I was on the market, right? Those are how many people are looking at my profile that could potentially have opportunities for me. And so whenever I'm posting, I always have that mindset that I want to balance it out. I want to establish my expertise, but I also want to get some recruitment done. I want to get candidate flow and, build up the traffic on my page. And what's nice is LinkedIn allows you so much great analytics where you can see what dates are your high performers. Now that could be, again, we have to balance it out with, hey, what content was posted that day, what time was posted. But if you can find and you can look at this graph and you can be like, hey, look, every single time I post a meme on a Monday, it does a better performance over the last 6 months than if I posted it on Tuesday. Or if I post a job seeker spotlight every Friday, tends to do a lot better and more superior performance than if I did Wednesdays. So by learning how to read the analytics, by taking that step forward, like a lot of your courses here in WGU, I actually think they're in my master's, I took an analytics class, and it actually really did help me take that approach, a different approach than what I was utilizing previously to look at these analytics and kind of break them down and gain a better understanding of them. So again, it's not just impression counts. It's cool to say it's great for marketing. Hey, this is my impression count, but it's really the members reached. And eventually I'd love to grow that to 2 million impressions and over a million members reached. And again, you can access these analytics through LinkedIn Creator. Um, so best practices, right? Uh, Update your information at least twice a year. If you're unemployed, I would say at least a month. If you're employed, I would do at least every 6 months. With your best practices, engage your network, right? They're more than just a number. They're not just there for ego. Those are real people. So engage with them. Whenever I have a job opportunity, especially like a remote one, the first place I go to is my network. It's the easiest sourcing. I can post the job, but I already typically have a connection with those people. I have that rapport built up where I can reach out and say, hey, I have this remote project manager job. I see you got your PMP. I see that you're going for your MBA. Like, I'd love to bring you in the organization. And potentially, like, I'll already know that person for 6 months or a year. So I'm able to have that better understanding of that person's personality, the value, what do they bring, and potentially like who they are as a brand ambassador, and then approach them. So with your LinkedIn, even if you're not a recruiter, what I would recommend is just reach out and talk to people because there's so many opportunities out there that you don't know unless you engage. Huang reached out to me on LinkedIn. I'm on the board of advisors at AMU on their HR team because of LinkedIn. I've been able to go up in front of national organizations and give LinkedIn and resume workshops to veterans and become a veteran advocate on the page just by engaging my network, just by reaching out and saying, "Hey, dude, how's your day going? Is there anything I can do?" I really built my following up by balancing out my follower count with quality and quantity, right? You need quality to have that engagement, but you need the quantity to have that visibility. And visibility will always equal out better opportunity. But if you have 50 followers, right, that are high engagement, but that's not going to provide you as much visibility as, say, somebody that has 100,000 followers. But if nobody engages with them, they can't really add value to your page. Be consistent in your branding message. but adaptable in your content creation. So, for example, what's becoming very popular on social media platforms is short form videos. That would be your Facebook Reels, your TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all of that. So, when I first started, I got on LinkedIn, I started doing memes, just build up my presence. Eventually, when my voice is recovered from the flu, I'm going to start doing some short form videos and, adapt that. I still want to maintain the core of my branded message, which is being a veteran advocate and a senior HR recruiter for Leidos QTC Health Services. But I'm going to adapt my content creation to what's popular and what's trending because that's how you stay visible and that's how you stay relevant. When making connections, right? Be proactive, especially for individuals that are reaching out to me as a recruiter, right? I really want you to be proactive. I want you to research the organization. I want you to ensure that if you're looking for somebody in the defense industry, right, I may be the best individual. If you're looking for somebody in the construction industry, I'm not going to be the guy for you. Um, Apply to roles of interest, and then have the requisition number to refer to. If you send me an introduction email, be professional, check your spelling and grammar. I shouldn't have to say it, but I can't tell you how many people misspell my name, even though it's right there when you're crafting the message, and that can usually be a bad start, especially if you're going to tell me about your attention to detail. You can utilize ChatGPT to, craft your messages, but you really want to balance the personal and professional approach as well as like tailor it. Like I can't tell you how many people will send me a message that says, "Dear, fill in name," and then it still has the ChatGPT like prompt in it. So it's pretty funny. And we actually lost the candidate or an employee that worked for us for 3 months on one of our teams that she joined the organization and then realized that we were a defense contractor and that didn't align with her brand. So that was kind of a waste of time for everybody that could have been avoided if they just researched the organization. When you're making connections, right? The goal with connections is, again, like I said, I can't stress enough, balance your quality and your quantity, right? You want to make it where they can add value, but you can also add value to their lives. So the common pitfalls, right? Strategic missteps that can harm your long-term and effectiveness. Number one, an incomplete profile. It's so basic, and I can't tell you how many people and how many profiles I pass up because it's not so much like, hey, do they have a profile picture, right? Oh, they don't have their headline, I'm not going to message them. It's more like if they provide just the bare minimum information and I can't scrape enough to say, hey, this is a candidate I'd like to reach out to. As a recruiter, I'm not going to waste my time, which is my most valuable asset, and an email credit to reach out to a profile that either doesn't look active to me or isn't complete and doesn't really, articulate what you bring to the field. A generic or vague headline, right? When we do a LinkedIn search, what comes up is your profile picture, your headline, and well, your profile picture, your name, and your headline. So you really get those characters to make that impact. Are you a veteran advocate? Are you a lifelong learner? All of that stuff you can put in a headline and make your own professional marketing, a branding statement, say what you are. A lot of people do headlines where they'll say like, oh, I'm project manager seeking project management opportunities. It's like, okay, yeah, great. Or you can say, hey, I'm a project manager with experience of managing portfolios up to $50 million in teams of 26 individuals, right? If I'm a recruiter and that's all I read on your profile, I'm gonna be like, wow, this is definitely somebody I want to talk with. Neglect in the summary section. Some people just literally take their professional summary from their resume and just slap it on there, and it's a missed opportunity because you can really expand. You can provide that insight on who you are as a professional and maybe even some personal insights and just create a connection where somebody can reach out and say, hey, I like to kayak too, or hey, I have two dogs. I used to have on my profile when I was first looking for a job, I raised chickens. And so people would reach out and say, hey, you know, you raise chickens. It was just so off the wall that people would always reach out to that instead of just saying, hey, I want to talk to you about this recruiter job. Not engaging with others, like I said, if you're not on the profile, LinkedIn is a networking platform, and part of networking is engaging. You don't necessarily have to make yourself a thought leader, an industry leader, but just get out there, have comments, have opinions, tell me about what your mindset is. If you want to be an HR recruiter, for example, I want you to tell me about your insight on the recruitment process. Or if you want to be an operational manager, tell me about some common problems or some issues that you faced in the past. Like if you faced, employees that were disrespectful or customers that were, a nightmare to handle, how did you address them? Provide us insight with your thinking, your thought process. Talk about that stuff. Again, don't have to be necessarily a thought leader, but just provide insight on who you are and then engage through like, commenting, sharing, reposting. You can repost occasionally, just don't make every single post a repost because then LinkedIn deems that as kind of like spam and you're not really adding value. So LinkedIn's very particular on their feed, and what they want to do is have feeds that are constantly with new content. And so what they don't want to do is like have somebody repost 50 times and you're not really adding value to the feed. Only reach out when you need something. Be honest, like that is probably one of the most frustrating things. Like I have connections I've been connected with for 2 years, and they only reach out when they need jobs. Versus nobody, if you reached out and you established that relationship with the recruiter, if you were like, hey, how's it going, or engaging with the content, and then you reach out, you're going to have a much higher likelihood of success reaching out and asking me for, hey, Nate, I'm looking for a project manager role. I'm looking for an IT cybersecurity internship. Like, could you potentially help me? Like, that's going to be a lot more valuable than just saying, like, connect with me and then instantly ask for a job. Um, Not keeping profile up to date. I can't tell you how many people have profiles that are 5, 10 years out of date. Or I'll reach out to somebody and say, hey, I see that you're an active project manager. Like, I'd love to hire you for this position. They'll say, oh, I haven't worked that in 7 years. And now I've transitioned to this whole new field and I'm not interested in that. It's like, oh, wow, I wish if your profile was up to date, wouldn't have had that issue. Ignoring keywords for search engine optimization. With search engine optimization, right? ChatGPT, amazing. Google, amazing. Look up that words, just look up search engine optimization, figure out what keywords are. Recruiters use a what's called a Boolean search string. And so we'll say, I'm a nurse practitioner recruiter. So I'll say nurse practitioner and Phoenix, Arizona, and primary care, and whatever those profiles have those keywords on them will come up in a search. And if you don't know what a Boolean search string is, you actually use it in the library at WGU or any university you've ever been to. If you go to the library and you say, I'm looking for an article that's over leadership and management theory, that's a Boolean search string. And you can actually use ChatGPT is where I go for mine. And once you learn what comes up when you do your Boolean search strings, you can kind of tailor your keywords to that. Over and under posting, I see people post. I had one person that posts literally every hour, and so LinkedIn deems her as a spam account. So even though she posts amazing content, she runs into the issue where her profile and her content is underperforming. And then there's others that if you only post once a month, that's the value that you're providing LinkedIn. That limits your visibility. Not utilizing the open to work feature, and then just common mistakes again. Using a non-professional profile picture. Well, I know I'm coming to the end. Um, and then not cause spamming with endorsements and recommendations, oversharing, being too casual, and then not personalizing connection requests. These are two profiles. I didn't create them. I actually stumbled on them when I was doing research for these slides for a different organization. But as you can see, like these profiles had no value to LinkedIn. Um, and you can see like some of the issues, right? Like a mannequin, or I think that's a Ken Barbie doll with nothing relevant to that role. And then Jordan Holberg, very unprofessional. Some mouth breather. I promise I'm not in my mom's basement, but Yeah, it's unprofessional. And what's the likelihood of me reaching out to Jordan for a job? Not much. But that concludes my presentation. Now we can do the Q&A portion of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nathaniel. We do have some questions already here in the chat. If you do have any questions, please feel free to use the chat feature or you could raise your hand. If you think of questions later on, you can always email us and we'll make sure to facilitate that out as well. So first question from Ibram, do you think an applicant's name could work against them, especially if it doesn't sound distinctly American?
It's it's hard to know what individual responses are going to be. I can tell you as a federal contractor, we're not allowed to discriminate, right? That's the official policy. What someone does personally is completely up to them. As much as I would love to say every recruiting professional is a professional, you're going to face those obstacles. But honestly, if they're willing to use that against you, then I probably want to work at that organization anyways. But I wouldn't necessarily change your name to sound more American, just so you can increase your opportunities.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Next question here. In reaching out to a recruiter on LinkedIn, do you have any best practices that help set yourself apart?
Yeah, I'm saying the number one, spell my name correctly. Two, you know, create a profile. A lot of recruiters get hit with like, for example, like my inbox, I probably get 10 to 15 messages a day. So to help stand out, I would say avoid like copy and paste. Make sure things are spelled correctly. If you come up to me and you say, "Hey, Nate, I saw your profile. I looked at your organization. It really aligns with my personal brand. I'm really interested in this position," and then post the rec number. Um, and could you get me in touch or provide insights in the organization? If we're already connected and you're already engaging with me on my content, I kind of have a feeling like who you are, I'm more likely to respond. So if like a lot of people, if you reach out to me and like we've been connected for a little bit, I will go so much further to bat to get you that job, especially if it's not one that I'm actively recruiting for. I've recruited last year, I recruited around 40 providers, mainly providers like audiologists, nurse practitioners to the organization. Um, but and with that, I also referred 80 contacts, 80 referrals from LinkedIn, 20 of which got job placements as high as vice president of operations, chief of staff to clinic manager. And these were all individuals that I was previously connected with that reached out, or I saw a job posted on our job board and I was like, hey, you know what? This guy would be a great fit for them. So, when you're reaching out with recruiters, be personable, engage with their content.
Awesome. Next question here from Hannah. In the open to work setting, how do we put our preferred location when we are open to relocating to any location and remote?
Yeah, so when you go to open to work, it should say like preferred locations. You can actually expand that and say like, hey, I'm open to, you're based in Houston, Texas, but you're willing to move to San Antonio, Texas. Just put it there. And then a recruiter will know that to reach out to you if you're interested in that area and we have an opportunity in that area.
Next question here from Mike. I've noticed LinkedIn has an issue with bots, especially when a user posts content with the hashtag open to work and others. How can this be avoided as most bot comments are not helpful?
I wish I had the solution for you. Um, Unfortunately, like when you do an open to work, like I said, you're going to get spammed with a lot of MLMs, a lot of job coaches and everything. And I have to constantly, because I do a lot of mentorship on the side, especially with veterans, and I have to constantly tell them like, hey, put your open to work on. And they're like, oh, I don't like the flood of messages. I'm like, right. But in those messages, there might be a recruiter versus you're getting no candidate traffic and no profile traffic if you don't have it to open to work. Um, and it's just something that we all have to kind of brunt in until LinkedIn does an algorithm change. I know like a year or two ago, they did a whole sweep and they took out a lot of inactive accounts or a lot of accounts that were deemed spam. And like I remember I was up to like 15,000 followers and it got me back down to 8,000. And it was a lot of influencers were very upset, but I actually appreciated LinkedIn doing that because they really cleaned it up. They're not going to be able to run a perfect account. You're never going to have a platform that's not going to have bots. It's just kind of, something that we have to deal with.
Right. Perfect. And I see folks dropping in their LinkedIn for further connections. That's awesome. We love to see the engagement. Nathaniel, I did also share your LinkedIn as well. So if folks would like to connect or follow, they have their LinkedIn in the chat here. Um, Next question. How can I tell if a recruiter's message or job posting is legitimate versus if it's a scam?
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to that best practice. Do your research on the organization. If it's an organization that's been around for 5 minutes and you can't find any information on it on Google or anything like that, probably a scam. The other aspect is like kind of reach out to that profile and see how long it's been active. So if the profile's only been around for a month, probably a scam. And then just do your best practice, right? Like if an IT professional is getting paid 200,000, right, and you have no experience at all and you have no relevant qualifications, why are they reaching out to you?
Those are great insights there. We'll give it just another minute for any questions. And like I mentioned, if you do think of one later on, you can always email us and we'll make sure to facilitate that out here. Let's give it another minute. Anyone has any last minute questions? Could you tell us a little bit about healthcare IT, especially software engineering roles?
Yeah. So, here at Leidos QTC Health Services, we actually use an internal software team to develop our own EMR. So, a lot of healthcare specialists actually, how do I say this? A lot of healthcare organizations have their own internal software teams. So, you can actually come on. So, next week, we'll actually be posting a lot of our internship roles for the summer. The internship period to apply is from, if I remember right, January 29th to about March 15th. We'll be doing interviews all of late March, early April. And then the internships should start around June 1st and go until about, I want to say August 15th. Most of our IT software kind of jobs, internships, those are about, if I remember right, it's about $26 to $32 an hour for the internship with limited benefits. With IT software specifically, it's not really my field that I recruit for. I recruit for the providers. But if you're interested in it, I'm more than happy to connect you with the IT recruiter.
Awesome. Thank you, Hannah, for that question. And it looks like we don't have anything else in the, oh, here's another one. How can I highlight ongoing learning efforts like different badges without overwhelming the profile? That's a great question.
Yeah, so when you update your profile, you're given the option to post or not post. So you can always just not post it and just update your profile. And then let's say like a week goes by, you can always say, hey guys, I just want to update everybody. I got this thing. Another week goes by, you can do it again. So that way you're not overwhelming everybody and just filling the feed with spam. Um, Nothing is like just, you can do it, you can tie it into stuff. Say like, hey, this was my journey to get my PMP, or hey, I successfully passed one of the IT certs that comes with my WGU degree. Just wanted to update everybody.
Yeah, I think that's a great way. And I think that goes into how you highlight a story, right? So an overall story with what you're doing. So that was a great question. Um, I think we are good on questions. And like I mentioned, if you have any later on, please feel free to email us and we'll make sure to get over to Nathaniel here. But we'll go ahead and conclude today's session. Thank you all for joining us and engaging so thoughtfully. Nathaniel, you shared such fantastic insights on optimizing your LinkedIn and sparked such great discussion on how to elevate your professional presence online. We will be sending out this recording along with that brief survey, and your feedback is valuable to us. So if you can take a minute to complete that, we would greatly appreciate your feedback there. We also like to extend a huge WGU thank you to Nathaniel for sharing your time and expertise. Your passion in helping others and your leadership in the talent acquisition field is truly inspiring. And we're really grateful for your commitment in supporting the WGU community. I also see your wife, Kendall, and your adorable baby here. So, well, hello, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us and for the support as well. For our attendees, thank you for being here. Don't forget to check Handshake for the upcoming sessions and visit our YouTube channel for past recordings and also for new content. So with that, wishing everyone a fantastic rest of your day, and thank you so much for being a part of today's session.